Barcelona is one of the most successful and popular football clubs in the world, with a rich history of trophies, stars, and style.
Will it be 5?
But perhaps the peak of their glory was in the year 2010, when they won La Liga and the UEFA Champions League, and played some of the most beautiful and dominant football tactics ever seen. So it wouldn't be wrong if we say that the 2010 Barcelona team is widely regarded as one of the greatest teams of all time. But what was it that made this team so special? Well, the answer lies in their iconic tactics. Under the guidance of Pep Guardiola, Barcelona played a style of football that was both beautiful and effective. They were masters of possession, and they would often pass the ball for hundreds of passes in a single game, using the infamous tiki-taka technique. But they were also incredibly dangerous on the counter-attack, with players like Lionel Messi, Pedro, and David Villa, who were pretty much capable of scoring goals from anywhere on the pitch. So it wasn't only the tactics of Pep Guardiola that made it a great team, but also his selection of a brilliant squad. To understand the magic of 2010 Barcelona, we must first acknowledge the man who organized it all. Pep Guardiola, a former Barcelona player, joined the club as head coach in 2008. His vision was about transforming the way football was played, not just at Barcelona, but around the world. But still, hiring him was a huge risk for Barcelona, given Guardiola's lack of top-tier coaching experience at the time. The decision, however, as you know, turned out to be a masterstroke, as Guardiola brought a breath of fresh air to the team by applying the iconic tiki-taka. But before we try to understand how Pep applied it to Barcelona in 2010, let's try to understand what exactly is tiki-taka.
Well, in simple terms,
It is a style of football play that is characterized by short passing and movement. The goal is to keep possession of the ball and create space for teammates to make runs and take shots. Tiki-taka is often associated with Spanish football, and it was popularized by Barcelona in the 2000s. The term itself is derived from the Spanish word tiki, for the quick, one-touch passes, and taka, for the sound of the ball being received. To understand it better, here are a few key principles you must know about. The first one definitely has to be possession, as the primary goal of tiki-taka is to maintain possession of the ball. This is done by passing the ball quickly and accurately, and by moving the ball around the field to avoid pressure from the opposition. By keeping possession, tiki-taka teams force their opponents to chase the ball, leading to physical and mental exhaustion. Second key principle is passing. Tiki-taka teams rely heavily on passing to move the ball around the field. Tiki-taka teams typically play with a lot of short passes, both on the ground and in the air. This allows them to keep possession of the ball and create space. Players are trained to deliver short, crisp passes, often one touch, that quickly move the ball around the pitch. Another defining characteristic of tiki-taka is the emphasis on creating and exploiting space. Players constantly rotate positions, dragging defenders out of their comfort zones and generating gaps in the opposition's defensive structure. Tiki-taka has a number of benefits. One of the main benefits is that it allows teams to control the game. By maintaining the possession of the ball, teams can dictate the tempo of the game and prevent the opposition from creating chances. Another benefit of tiki-taka is that it creates scoring opportunity. Tiki-taka teams are constantly moving the ball around the field and looking for space to create chances. This can lead to a high number of scoring opportunities. Now that you know how tiki-taka can be so helpful, you must also know that having the right principles to follow is not enough,
as players have to be able to execute them properly, which is easier said than done. Tiki-taka players need to be able to pass and move efficiently, even when they are under pressure, and not everyone is able to do that. So after deciding that he was going to use this technique, Pep had to find a suitable squad, and no doubt he chose some of the best players out there. From this team, first of all, we have Lionel Messi, whose role in the tiki-taka system was that of the false nine, which is a position that's not your typical center forward. As a false nine, Messi often dropped deep into the midfield to receive the ball. This created numerical superiority in the middle, allowing Barcelona to dominate possession. Then Xavi Hernandez and Andres Iniesta were the creative midfielders who controlled the tempo and dictated the play. Xavi and Iniesta were the brains and hearts of Barcelona's midfield, who delivered every move with their vision, technique, and understanding. Xavi was a master of possession, who always found space to receive the ball, controlled it with ease, and distributed it with precision. Iniesta was more of a dribbler and a penetrator who could glide past defenders with his agility, balance, and flair. At the heart of the defense were Pique and Puyol, who not only excelled in their primary roles, but were also comfortable with the ball at their feet, allowing Barcelona to build from the back.
In the whole squad building process, one of Guardiola's masterstrokes was his faith in youth development, particularly through Barcelona's famous youth academy, La Masia. He knew that to maintain the tiki-taka style, he needed players who were not only technically gifted, but who also had grown up immersed in the philosophy. Prime example of La Masia's success, Busquets was promoted to the senior team by Guardiola. His positioning, composure, and ability to read the game made him a crucial part of the midfield. Once the squad was assembled, Guardiola and his coaching staff conducted intensive tactical drills to ensure that every player understood their role within the tiki-taka system. The players were drilled in positional play, learning where to be at different phases of the game to create passing lanes, overloads, and pockets of space. Another beautiful point to note is that what made this squad special was not just the individual talents, but how they complemented each other. Tiki-taka philosophy required a symbiotic relationship among players. Messi's dribbling skills combined with Xavi's passing, Iniesta's vision with Busquets' defensive technique, and so on. Both the tiki-taka tactic and the whole squad came together through a 4-3-3 formation, which was a key aspect of Pep's tiki-taka Barcelona. This formation consisted of 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, and 3 forwards. Normally, the structure used to look something like this.
The team had 2 full-backs, often Dani Alves and Eric Abidal during this era, who had an attacking role. They pushed high up the field, almost functioning as wingers, to provide width and stretch the opposition's defense. Pique and Puyol were the center-backs, with Pique often stepping into the midfield to support the build-up. Their ball-playing ability was crucial in maintaining possession. Then midfielders included Busquets, who was defensive midfielder, while Xavi and Iniesta were central midfielders. Their role was to control the tempo of the game. Barcelona's wingers, Pedro and David Villa, had dual roles. They were tasked with stretching the pitch wide, creating width, and providing service into the box. However, they also had the responsibility of coming inside and supporting the central midfield in possession. As described earlier, Messi played as the false 9. He dropped deep to receive the ball, acted as the main playmaker, and created goal-scoring opportunities. However, you must know that the 4-3-3 formation was not rigid or fixed, but flexible and adaptable to different situations and opponents. Depending on the context of the game, Guardiola could make subtle or drastic changes to his formation, such as switching to 3-4-3, 4-2-3-1, or 4-4-2 formations by making some changes. Even though these tactics did bring a lot of success for Barcelona, they also faced some backlash for this. Critics argue that Barcelona's obsession with possession sometimes led to a lack of directness. They were accused of overplaying, especially when an opposing team defended deep and compact. Some critics believe that Barcelona's emphasis on technical play and passing made them susceptible to physically dominant teams. They could struggle against teams that were physical and aggressive in their approach, which wasn't wrong because over time, rival teams and coaches started devising strategies to counter tiki-taka, which led to Barcelona needing to evolve their tactics to maintain their dominance. But no matter what the critics say, 2010 was surely the most iconic time for Barcelona, its players, and of course most importantly, Pep Guardiola.